Hello, and thanks for tuning into this special program, Meet the Directors. I'm your host, Deborah Vinsel. Today we'll be speaking with the department leadership of Thurston County. We'll be discussing the services their departments provide, but first we're going to have a word from your county manager, Ramiro Chavez.
Thank you, Deborah. Today I'm elated to introduce to our community this great set of professionals sitting around the room. Over the last year, with the support and guidance from the Board of County Commissioners, we have assembled this great team of directors. They are dedicated and committed to serving the citizens of Thurston County. Each one of them is responsible for very complex programs, and I know they all are up to the challenge. With us today, we have Joshua Cummings, the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development, Shelley Slaughter, the Director of Public Health and Social Services, Jennifer Walker, the Director of Public Works. Kurt Harding is the Director of Emergency Services, which include Emergency Management and Medic One. Marianne Clear, the Director of Pretrial Services. Patrick O'Connor, the Director of Office of Public Defense. Kitty Girard, our Director of Human Resources. Martin Casey, our Director of Central Services, which includes Facilities and Fleet Management, as well as Information Technology. And Robin Campbell, our Assistant County Manager, which also is the Budget Director for the county. I have the utmost respect for each one of you. I know that your professional commitment and your dedication to the county, it will benefit to all the citizens. And I'm so excited to be part of your team as we move the county to the next level into the future. There is so many challenges ahead of us, and I know that we as a team, we're going to conquer those challenges and take the county again to the next level. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes, thank you all for being with us. I know how difficult it can be to get everybody in one place at one time because you all have very busy schedules, so we really do appreciate you being here. We'd like to start and allow each of you to give us a brief description of your department. So we'll start with Joshua. Tell us a little bit about your department.
Great, thanks, Deb. Yes, I am Joshua Cummings, the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development. We are excited to serve the citizens of Thurston County. Our department is focused on working to work with citizens on their building, permitting, and planning process, and how we use our land and resources now and into the future. One of the things that we strive towards is transparency, consistency, and accountability, ensuring that our citizens have the services they need to live the lives that they'd like here locally, and that we can all respect one another. For us, economic vitality means a great place to live, play, and work. So that's community planning and economic development.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Shelley, tell us about your department.
Thanks, Deb. I'm Shelley Slaughter. I'm Director of Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. And it's just an honor to be able to be here today and to also share with the public more about what we do, because not very many people know what public health and social services really does in our community. Our mission is working together to achieve the highest health and well-being for everyone in our community, and we do that through many, many different programs. So that includes environmental health, making sure that there's clean and safe food, water, and an environment. We also work to prevent communicable disease and provide education so people can be healthy and safe, things like vaccines for children. Also, we work to ensure that children have the healthiest start in life through our maternal child health programs, such as Nurse-Family Partnership. Emergency Preparedness is another program that we have, as well as our Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention, Developmental Disabilities, Veterans Assistance, and many, many more, which I hope to have a chance to talk to as our conversation continues.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shelley. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about Public Works.
Jennifer Walker, Director of Public Works. And Public Works has a little over 180 full-time employees. We're responsible for maintaining and managing the county roads, as well as parks and trail program. We also provide sewer and water to approximately 800 citizens within Thurston County. So we manage and maintain 4 sewer systems and 3 water systems. And we also manage and administer the noxious weed program and 2 lake management districts. We are responsible for the solid waste facility, the transfer station at Hawks Prairie, as well as 2 drop-off centers, both in Rochester and one in Rainier. So we have several different programs And I would say that the main thing that we're focusing on right now is our infrastructure, the county's infrastructure. So we'll be able to talk more about that.
Great. Next up, Kurt Harden, Emergency Services.
Thank you, Deb. Emergency Services incorporates both Medic One and emergency management. Medic One is the emergency medical services, pre-hospital emergency medical services. So when someone calls 911 and they need medical help, they either get an emergency medical technician or what we call an EMT and or a paramedic comes across their front door. Emergency management is our disaster response and recovery office. It also gets into disaster preparedness. And so one of the things the emergency management division does, it also maintains the emergency coordination center, the ECC, so that when a disaster strikes, we coordinate the disaster response across the county. We can talk a little bit more about that as we go into the program.
Okay. Mary Ann, you are the Director of Pretrial Services. Tell us about that.
Thank you. Pretrial services has two different components. We do the bail screening investigation interviews for the individual's preliminary hearings, and we do our best to include timely and accurate reports for the court, the public defense counsel that's there for their hearings, as well as assigned counsel that may be there, as well as the prosecuting attorney's office, and to ensure that we have the risk assessment complete for them, as well as their criminal history information, make sure that's complete and accurate and provided early and on time so that they can make wonderful and good recommendations for conditions of release, and make sure that we focus on public safety for them. Also, when in their court order, they have their conditions of release and they include pretrial service supervision. We'll monitor those cases while they're awaiting their outcome of their case, whether they're going to go to trial or come up with some type of plea agreement. So we'll be focusing on monitoring individuals in the community. So our overall focus is public safety.
Great. And Patrick, you're with Public Defense.
I am. Thank you, Deborah. Patrick O'Connor, Director of Thurston County Public Defense. The United States Constitution and the Washington State Constitution ensures that every individual is afforded the right to an attorney to represent them if they're accused of a crime, and that's what our department does. We unfortunately represent the overwhelming majority of individuals that pass through the criminal courts. We represent adults. We also represent juveniles in juvenile criminal proceedings. We also represent parents in termination proceedings where they may lose a child to the state. And we also represent some of our most vulnerable population in our community, those individuals with mental illness facing involuntary commitment at the state level. We have a staff of dedicated attorneys as well as administrative staff committed to providing the very best public defense we can in our community. We also focus on public safety. Not only do we represent clients in the courtrooms, whether their case proceeds to trial, but we have a commitment to finding help for our clients for the root causes of why they entered the criminal justice system. Many of our clients suffer from mental health issues, addiction issues, and we've really made a commitment these past several years to trying to help those members of our community.
Great, thank you. Moving on to Katie Gerard with Human Resources.
Yes, thank you. Katie Gerard. I get the pleasure of managing our Human Resources Department, and we have just over 1,000 employees in county government, and so we take care of all of those employees and the managers and supervisors that direct their work. We oversee programs like our benefits administration, classification, compensation, labor relations. We have 9 different distinct collective bargaining units across the county, and we also do recruitment, risk management, safety, and then of course training and organizational development. So I get the great honor of working with all of these leaders here to make sure that we have the best workforce to be able to serve those needs that all these departments are providing to our citizens.
Thank you. And Martin with Central Services.
Thank you. I'm Martin Casey. I've had the good fortune of leading the 80 employees of Central Services for nearly 5 years now. We provide a diverse mix of kind of behind-the-scenes internal services to county government. As Ramiro mentioned, we manage the county's facilities and have over 650,000 square feet across 4 main campuses and over 20 buildings that we maintain and operate and also handle the construction and renewal for. We also have fleet management services for both heavy-duty roads equipment as well as the sheriff's fleet vehicles and passenger vehicles used by the county. We have IT services, including geographic information mapping services, network and desktop support teams, as well as application services. And finally, we have internal administrative services that also provide the county with mail delivery and records management. So great team and basically help things run behind the scenes. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. And Robin, tell us about your role with the county.
Okay, thanks, Deb. So Robin Campbell, I'm the Assistant County Manager, and as Romero said, I'm also the Budget Director for the county. So my team works with all of the directors that you've just met and all of the elected officials to prepare the county budget. Then we package the budget and present it to the Board of County Commissioners. We provide support and information to the commissioners as they determine their budget and adopt a budget. And then after that, we monitor how all of the offices and departments use the money and ensure that it's used in the most efficient and effective manner. So basically, we take the $300 million that the county receives in revenue and budget that and make sure that it all runs right.
Thank you. So we'd like to open up a kind of a general discussion now. Please feel free to add on to something that a colleague shares with you. All of your departments have very distinct and specific roles in the county, but there's many times when they interact with each other. Some are more internal facing, many are external facing. But we would like to know, and you can share with our viewers, the things that you see facing your department specifically as long-term challenges or short-term challenges that you might be dealing with in your departments, the departments that you lead. So who would like to start with that? Joshua?
Sure.
Go for
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, one of the a major connection that we have for the way that we serve citizens is at what's called the BDC, the Building Development Center. And at that location, citizens will interface with the Community Planning and Economic Development Department, as well as Public Health and Public Works. We say that the BDC is 3 departments co-located for citizens' convenience. They can go there and get what they need for the building of the actual structure. They also, from Public Health, will receive information on their septic and their water systems. And then from Public Works, the roads and the way that they can have the access to the property. It's important to us that we work to find streamlined and effective ways for interfacing with the citizens, and that our processes internally are effective, like I said, but also the best and most easily communicated to the citizens. It can be confusing. One of the things that we're charged with at the county level is the enactors or the implementers of all sorts of regulation, from the federal to the state to all the way down to the county ordinances. We have the opportunity to be that direct interface with citizens and implement all of those different laws and regulations. And it can be burdensome, but to have this partnership, I think, is really important for the citizens in our community. So the Building Development Center is one place that I always think of as a great partnership between our different departments.
Mm-hmm. Do you see, and since the 3 of these departments, Public Health and Public Works, have been just evoked here, are there specific challenges that you see facing this collaboration in the short term or the long term? You want to go for it, Jennifer?
Sure. I think the benefits that we have is that we are all looking at a common goal of making Thurston County stronger with that focus on the customer, right, our citizens. And so that's kind of what our higher calling is when we come together. Specifically in terms of some of the challenges, I've mentioned it earlier, infrastructure, and making sure that we're not just surviving on the infrastructure, but being more proactive in that approach. And part of that is working with the developers in the community, and all 3 of our departments are doing that. And how do we really kind of work with them and at times get out ahead of that and making sure that we have the resources that we need to maintain.
Mm-hmm. Shelley, did you have anything you wanted to add to the conversation?
Just I think that sometimes for the public, they don't know which departments are serving them. And so it's up to us to really work together so that it's a seamless process for those that we're serving, so that they can have the home that they want for their family, or the business that they need for our economy. And so we work really hard together to try to improve how we are serving our customers, and making sure that from a public health perspective, that we are protecting our environment during that process, and making sure that when people are maybe building a new home, that they have safe water to drink, and that the land in which they're building their home on has a proper septic system, and that protects our lakes and our streams as well, that we all work together to protect.
And if it's okay, I'd just like to add one more thing. All of that is, I totally agree with. You asked about short-term challenges.
Short-term.
It's been mentioned that we are a relatively new team in our roles, and one of the major short-term challenges is updating decades-old processes. Just because it's been done one way for a long time doesn't mean that we need to continue doing it that way. And so we've been working, as Jennifer mentioned, to find ways that are customer service oriented. And so, as we work through these processes, it's going to take a little time, but the goal and the focus is to make it more effective and better for the citizens of the county.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Deb, yeah, I just want to share, as I listen to my colleagues talk about the challenges, one of the consistent things I think across the county is going to be the turnover of our workforce. We have an aging workforce. We have lots of people that have been in their jobs for a long time, and so the challenge of making sure that we have good recruitment and retention for those skill sets that we're going to need into the future is definitely something that's on my mind as I look at the programs that we're trying to attract people to come and work for us, and keep those that have those strong skills to help us move into that future. The challenges of the change in technology is huge, and our citizens are going to be wanting and requiring that we modernize the way we deliver our service. And so that's a huge workforce challenge as well. And so those are definitely some of the things that are on our mind as we look at training, IT, those types of things going forward.
I was going to say, Martin, why don't you jump in there with the changes in certainly facilities and IT and technology?
Oh, absolutely. So, as Jennifer mentioned and as Katie has just mentioned, we share both of those challenges in central services. In the 5 years since I've been here, almost half of the department has turned over, mostly due to retirements. And that's an incredibly stable workforce that is in transition, that there's institutional knowledge and there's skills and capacity that are lost with that transition. But at the same time, as Josh mentioned, there's opportunity with that to look at things fresh, take a new approach, and see how we can do things more efficiently and more effectively. Similarly, our infrastructure is aging. The county courthouse reaches 40 years this year. And like some of our other facilities, it is aging poorly, and the investments that will be needed in the near term just to keep it operating could be very significant for building systems, mechanical systems, infrastructure, and so forth. And so I think one of the biggest challenges we face in the long term is how do we effectively house county government successfully in a way that's feasible, provide efficient, safe, durable, adaptable, functional facilities to house county services that the public relies on every day, and do so in a way that is sustainable so that we invest in the maintenance and renewal so that those facilities can last us for another 50 years. That's going to be a very heavy lift for the county, and it's something that we're going to be working on quite a lot in the next few years.
Okay, great. Anybody else want to jump in on long-term, short-term? Shelley, go for it. Emergency services.
I just want to dovetail a little bit onto what Martin was saying. We have challenges in maintaining up-to-date medical equipment, up-to-date medical training for EMS, for paramedics, EMTs. But what a lot of people don't realize is every time you see a paramedic walk across your front door, somebody from personnel was behind the scenes helping us with the training or feeling. We had a number of critical positions last year. People retired, and you have HR helping us, you have IT support, all those behind the scenes. People don't realize that it impacts every service the county provides. One of the things that we have is we have a fairly robust CPR training program. And our challenge is getting citizens out there to come to the free training, CPR training, because one of the things we found is every time a citizen gets involved in CPR when there's a cardiac incident, the chances of survival double for that person. And Thurston County right now has a 54% cardiac survival rate inside the county, which is one of the highest in the nation. And it's all because of what happens, though, with the training and what happens with the behind the scenes. So I would like to say that that's one of our challenges. How do we get people to understand that it's free training, the county puts it on, and then we turn around and we can show them in just an hour to 2 hours on how to do CPR. The other piece on that is on the emergency management side, how to get people to invest in preparedness. I will tell you that right now during a disaster, if we need people to be prepared for up to 14 days without government services. If the catastrophic disaster hits the Cascadia subduction zone that we've talked about for a number of years, and it's not if but when, government services will not be there for up to 14 days. So we need people to understand the message on getting prepared and the preparedness behind it.
Okay. Shelley?
Yeah, that's a good segue to some of the challenges that I was going to share with our department as well, specifically about emergency preparedness. So some people don't know that if there is a public health crisis, like a big disease outbreak or some kind of big environmental catastrophe or any kind of terrorist type thing, we are responsible and have jurisdiction over our state capital. That's a really big responsibility. So that's an area that we really need to work closely with our state and local partners together to make sure that we are prepared if there is something unthinkable like that to happen. We also face a lot of just huge, I would say, social and public health crises. So our opioid epidemic is of huge concern. We are seeing more and more overdoses in our community. We are seeing higher utilization of our syringe exchange services. We definitely have a homeless crisis. I think that's affecting all areas of our community and throughout the state of Washington. Our latest homeless census indicated a 43% increase in the last year and probably the highest number of unsheltered that we'd ever had in our community. So it's really going to take a big commitment, regional collaboration and partnership to get ahead of some of those things. While we were just named the 6th healthiest county in the state of Washington, we perform really well on lots of health measures, but we also have some areas in which we really need to improve upon. That includes some of our physical environment areas, as well as we're really concerned about an increase in the number of sexually transmitted diseases as well. We're also living in a time where people travel a lot, and all the different kinds of diseases that we used to face, and we still face every day. Every day we see things, we investigate and make sure that people have vaccines to prevent things like pertussis or measles and mumps, and we're always tracking that kind of thing, as well as foodborne illnesses. We do restaurant inspections every day, 365 days a year, to make sure that the food that you eat is safe. But we also see people traveling around the world now, and we've had things like scares of Ebola or Zika or different kinds of things like that. And our public health system as a whole, nationwide, statewide, is really pretty fragile. Our funding hasn't increased over the years, while the challenges that we face are much bigger and much more serious.
Okay. Go ahead, Robin.
Speaking of the funding not increasing, I think that is a major challenge for everyone around these tables. As you've heard, we provide a lot of services, so do the elected offices, and the cost and the need and the demand are growing at a much faster rate than our revenue, which seems a little counterintuitive in a strong economy, but just because the economy is strong doesn't mean the revenue to government is growing. So everyone here has been very creative at finding ways to manage and deliver their services within the amount that we have. but it's getting to a point where that's harder and harder to do. And in the upcoming years, the board's going to have some really hard choices to make about what do we fund and what can't we afford anymore. That's a huge challenge.
Martin?
Picking up on that theme, I think one of the things that I've been impressed by with county government, as Robin said, has been the creativity and the commitment of employees across all of the different departments and the offices of the elected officials in trying to be effective stewards of county resources and take advantage of new tools and opportunities. I think for our team, and speaking in particular of information technology, one of our challenges has been keeping up with the rapid pace of change in technology and the rapid changes in expectations that the public has. The public wants and frankly has come to expect and deserve a different level of service and interaction with government through technology. And those tools are out there, and our ability to deliver them has been limited in some ways. So one of the things I'm excited about in terms of opportunities that are coming is this board has set a vision to essentially revamp how we do IT at the county by splitting central services in the coming year. They're looking at setting up an independent IT department led by a separate director and better leveraging the resources that the county is already applying towards information technology in a variety of places. Better coordinate, better leverage that, so that we can begin adapting and responding more nimbly to changes in technology and deliver services in the way that the public is increasingly demanding and has a right to.
I have great empathy for that as we sit here surrounded by our technology, because sometimes it changes. You make a change, you're in the middle of a change and something new and better comes along, so I completely understand that. I'd like to key on that technology issue, and we haven't heard from the courts about challenges that are facing, so I'm sure that that's probably a challenge for you, but what other kinds of things are facing your departments?
Sure. Deb, well, just to piggyback on, the issue that Shelley brought up with the opioid crisis, poverty, addiction, and mental illness still comprise the three main reasons why people come into the criminal justice system. And we have seen an increase in our community in the past several years and a rise of individuals suffering from addiction issues as well as mental illness. Over the past 12 months, our department, as well as the prosecuting attorney's office, the sheriff's office, the bench, and the judges, Mary Ann's department, have made a concerted effort in adult superior court to try to make criminal process improvements to address these cases. And, approximately 75% of every taxpayer dollar is spent on law and justice. And so we're all concerted, making a concerted effort to be good stewards of that money, but also have outcomes that put people who come through the criminal justice system in a better position. Poverty. So when we're talking about getting these individuals that we represent, our clients, out of the criminal justice system and working, that's good for our community. That's a partnership I can make with Josh. Our department also can work with Shelley as she addresses, the opioid crisis. But we have some challenges, but we have a commitment at the county level, and I think the citizens should know that our department and other departments and other elected departments and offices are working very hard to try to come up with good solutions.
How about you?
I agree that those are some of the very same challenges that we all face, and we work together to address. Pretrial services, we work to try and keep some of the higher risk offenders incarcerated and keep some of the lower risk offenders that are struggling with mental health issues, substance use issues, out in the community, and provide referrals to them to some of the community resources that can help them combat their illnesses and seek the treatment that they might need. And one of those challenges is the access to resources and availability, the capacity for those, and struggling with the budget that Robin had mentioned. So that's something that we all struggle with, but we work collaboratively together to try and meet those needs. So that's something that's important to address. Other issues that come up for us are when they're pretrial, it's not an obligation where they're court ordered. So finding help for getting them motivated to meet their needs. But working with Patrick's office, people often are motivated to get their needs met and to find the housing, but housing isn't always available in our community as well, or at least affordable housing. So.
Okay. Anybody else? Jennifer, did you have a chance to weigh in for Public Works?
I have a whole bunch of things to say, but I guess a couple of things. In terms of costs, we've seen an increase over the last 10 years in revenue, transportation revenue, of about 16%, but the cost of construction has increased about 67%. So we're just getting this gap. So we look at our infrastructure, that's just in terms of roads, and doing a condition assessment of our roads. And we have about 75% of our roads are in good condition. And that means that 25% are in poor or fair condition. And so we have this potentially decline in the condition of our roads because of the lack of resources that are available. And so one of the things that, while it's a challenge in terms of infrastructure, not only for our roads, but for the utilities, I mentioned that we have both water and sewer facilities or services, but we have to maintain those assets as well. And so looking at a comprehensive asset management plan is what we are working on right now, and doing a condition assessment to then identify what those needs are.
Okay. Joshua, you look like you want to add something.
Yeah, I just actually wanted to piggyback a little bit on what Kurt was saying earlier in terms of responding to emergencies. The CPED, the Community Planning and Economic Development Department, is about being ahead of the curve on that, being preventative. Nobody likes to get permits, nobody likes regulations, but if we can have a building that's built safely in the right place that doesn't fall down in times of emergency, then we have less potential danger for our citizens and clean up afterwards. And one of the other things too to think about being preventative is one of the best social programs is a good job and a place to live. So if we're able to have folks be in housing and have businesses operating, it can potentially reduce the burden on our criminal justice system. But I think it's one of the important things to remember is that as a community of directors, we're also tasked by our elected officials, and to be action oriented in the current climate to make good change is what we've been tasked with doing. So it's a great opportunity. It's a challenge at times. We all have, our different things, and we go to Katie on a regular basis to help with our personnel because we're all humans trying to work on this processes together to make the citizens, and we're neighbors of the other folks at Thurston County. Many of us live here in Thurston County or in the region. And so this isn't something far removed. This is government right next to the people that you're impacting. And I think that, don't want to speak for everybody, but what an opportunity for us to make a difference in our community. So it's just a nice thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I was actually going to ask Katie if she wanted to follow up on that. So
just a little plug if you want to come work for Thurston County. Last year we had over 200 recruitments. So there is certainly turnover happening as we have our aging workforce and people are getting to go off and enjoy their retirement. We need people to fill those spots. And so we've started using social media to post some job announcements to hopefully garner some interest. So if you haven't liked our Thurston County Facebook page, please go and do that. And you'll be able to see the different things. Every week we have new positions available for people to apply. We do use the NeoGov platform, which all of the openings can be found at governmentjobs.com in addition to our website. So just think of us as your employer. I know state government is kind of the big government group in town, but certainly if you want to contribute directly to your community that you live in, we'd love to see you apply for jobs at Thurston County.
Oh, I'm gonna jump in real quick. If you have a construction background or a planning background or gone to college, you want to find a way to impact your community, come to CPED. We definitely are going to need more folks with hands-on. You don't have to have a college degree to come work for the county in CPED. If you've got experience building things or looking at plans, we're hiring.
So I was going to ask specifically about in your hiring processes, since you have openings regularly, do you have challenges finding people with the appropriate skills for the positions? Are there some specific things that you've been, looking for that, we're struggling for whatever reason?
Well, You know, it's certainly competitive. There are certainly people in the job market. I wouldn't say that we're lacking candidates. In some areas, you know, our civil service, so those positions that work as either corrections deputies or sheriff deputies, we're always looking for individuals there. There's a pretty extensive process that people have to go through to get those types of positions, but we certainly want people to think about that. It's a great career opportunity, great progression through a series of job classes that are available in those two departments. You know, the other things, you know, we're always looking for people that have kind of the more recent technology experience. You know, I have a daughter in college right now, and I think they're saying that people that, you know, graduate today, in 4 years, the information that they've learned is going to be obsolete in some ways, and because things are advancing so quickly. So those people that have experience, we typically look for mid-career, but we're starting to look at some programs to do more in-training type opportunities across the county. That's a proposal we're working on to try to get people early in their career, develop them, and you know, find those people that are dedicated to public service and want to contribute in that way. And I think we are seeing that in the millennial generation, that they want to do work that matters and contributes to the greater good of our society. And so government's a great way to do that. So again, governmentjobs.com.
And that's a plug. Go ahead, Kurt.
I was going to talk a little bit about the prevention aspect. I know it's been mentioned just a little bit, but I don't think a lot of people understand how the domino effect of prevention. When public health goes out and stops or helps prevent something from happening in a healthcare crisis or something. Last year, EMS had 33,000 calls that they dispatched out to. So if public health manages to, you know, and does prevent something from happening, that means we don't send out paramedics or EMTs. That means we don't need as many paramedics or EMTs. It means costs go down. It means they may not enter into the court system. So it has a domino effect. I know we've talked a little bit about, Shelley and I, about how being able to partner up with some preventive medicine or community-based medicine and how we can leverage that between our two departments. But it all is interdependent when you look at it.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in? Okay. Well, we don't want to talk in circles, so I think we're kind of coming to that place where we can maybe start to wrap up our conversation and give each of you an opportunity to you know, provide some closing remarks to our viewers. We've been starting over here. I don't want to let this side feel slighted. So Robin, can we start with you on some closing comments?
Sure, thanks. So as you've heard, one of our big challenges is money, and the board will have some difficult choices to make. Part of what they're interested in is hearing from the community on how we use that money. So right now we have an opportunity for the community to go onto our website and tell us, if you had to do the budget, how would you spend the money? So please look on our website and find the budget calculator and learn a little bit about what county government does and tell us how you would spread the resources. And then that's just the first step in making government more transparent. We've recently done a community survey asking what people's priorities are for the programs that we provide, and we are currently rolling out a transparency model. So soon you can go out, we'll be standing up dashboards on performance and funding, and you'll be able to see all kinds of things. So go to the website often and see what we're doing.
Thank you.
Actually, even though Central Services works mostly behind the scenes, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the opportunity that the public has to engage with and influence county government. I've lived in this community for nearly a quarter century and worked in state government for a long time, was aware of what was going on in the community to a certain degree, but until I came to work for the county, I really didn't appreciate the transparency and openness with which county government functions and the many opportunities there are for the public to be engaged, whether that's by attending public hearings or work sessions or serving on advisory boards and committees or through our social media interactions and so forth. County government is, as Josh said, really close. It's right here, it's our community, and there's a real hunger and desire for public input and feedback to help set priorities, to hold people accountable, to help us lead effectively and serve the people of the county. And so I would encourage the public to take advantage of those opportunities, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Very well said. I also, have been in public service my entire career. Spent many years at the state, but just made the transition to the county 2 years ago, and feel very grateful for the opportunity to be able to work so closely with the people in my community who are trying to make it better and a great place to live and work and play, because we like to do that too. We have lots of challenges, but I think we have lots of opportunity. And the one thing I can say for sure in all my time in public service is public service attracts great people. It is a calling to want to serve the community that you live in, and I think we just have a great opportunity to do that. And as people start to retire, we want to make sure we have that next great workforce to continue that calling, to make sure that we have a community that promotes health, commerce, and environmental protection with transparency and accountability. That is our new mission, and we are putting together a strategic plan to help see those through. We're going to be setting up those goals, making those available so people can see the outcomes of those, and so couldn't be more proud to be a county employee.
Thanks. Patrick.
I echo what's been said, and I think the public should know that this team that they see here at this tables this afternoon, we meet regularly, and this is the face of public service. I've been a public servant here in Thurston County my entire career practicing law, being a public defender. It's a great honor to represent my department, provide the services that we provide. It's an awesome responsibility, but it's one that I know this community supports. And to echo what Martin said, we need community members' involvement. We need you involved in local government. If these issues that you've heard about today affect you or interest you, please attend meetings, reach out to the department heads. I'm sure each and every one of them would be happy to meet with you and address your issues. But for the department, for my department in public defense, we are committed to providing this community the very best public defense that we can. It's an honor.
Thanks. Mary Ann.
I agree with Patrick. This is a great leadership team. I appreciate being a part of it, working collaboratively with everyone whenever there is an issue that comes up. We are connected, and we are able to work together to put our heads together and problem solve. I also encourage people to come down and be involved with the meetings, come to court, see what happens in court, see how the decisions are made, and to be involved with what happens at the county government level. And thank you.
Kurt.
Yeah, I'm just echoing what everybody else has said. It's a great team here, and it's really good because everybody supports. We leverage each other's capabilities. But one of the things I like to out there for people to do is invest in your community. Take a CPR course, 2 hours out of your life. You never know when you're going to need it, and you don't want to have to need it and then try to figure out how to do it. So invest in your community, and then invest in your family. Go to our website. Look at a 14-day preparedness plan. It's simple. We have a month-to-month where you can slowly build up a preparedness concept, a preparedness plan for your family. But invest in your community. Go to our website, sign up for the free class, and then look at the 14-day plan, and then invest in your family.
Thank you. From the Public Works perspective, we're going to continue to deliver on our services, the quality public services that our citizens expect and demand. I also feel like we will be really positioning ourselves to do a better job at managing our infrastructure, putting the plan together and identifying what those needs are, and communicating that more effectively is what we'll be focusing on.
Shelley.
So a lot of people think when they think of health and they think of how long someone's going to live or what kind of challenges that they might face in their health, or they think about accidents or maybe cardiac death or cancer or things like that. But what a lot of people don't know is that our health and how long we live is affected by many different factors. 80% of health are actually what we call social determinants of health. And those are things like where you live. In Thurston County, how long you live can differ by many years by zip code within Thurston County. A lot of that has to do with equity, access, access to services, poverty, other things like that. It really takes a team like this and our county that has a commitment to really work on addressing inequities in our community, but also focusing on promoting those social determinants which predict 80% of someone's health and how long they live and how well they are. And so we have a public-private partnership called Thurston Thrives, which we as Thurston County are deeply invested in partnering with and supporting. It's a broad cross-sector of people in our community, business, economy, criminal justice, nonprofits. Everybody comes together around the table around 8 different action teams focused on housing, environment, food, education, youth and resiliency, climate, criminal justice. And together, we're working on doing things to improve the health, safety, and well-being of our community, and that I'm really proud that we moved up to number 6 healthiest county in the state. I'll keep saying that, but a big part of that is because we've been able to work together and focus on that. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in getting more involved in improving the health of our community, particularly our youth and children, because that's where it starts. Prevention's so important. To get involved in our local community. And so we're always looking for volunteers. You can serve on Thurston Thrives, many different nonprofits in the community as well. And we have internship opportunities as well for those that are would like to learn more about public health. So thanks.
And Joshua.
Well, thank you. So first, I am not a lifetime public servant. I have worked in business and in environmental nonprofit. And I've got to say, sometimes government can seem slow and cumbersome. But I think what I've come to learn from this group and then interacting with the citizens, it is because we are so open to input from all of the citizens of Thurston County. I had a former director tell me sometimes it's important to go slow to go fast. And that if we include all of our citizens in a holistic conversation, that we can make change that's positive and lasting. Within the CPED department, currently we're engaged in every decade or so, we go through a comprehensive plan update. So if folks are seeing this anytime, get online and look up the comprehensive plan on our county website. That is the place for all of our citizens to get engaged with what we will do in our county in terms of planning for land uses now, 10 years, 20, 30 years into the future. So that's the really kind of key place. The other thing I would say is within CPED is the fair. So the first weekend in August, everybody get out there and enjoy your friends and neighbors. We have about 30,000 folks that attend our Thurston County Fair. It's out at the fairgrounds. So come join us all and participate. But I do just really think that it's an honor to be a public servant, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, thank you for your time. And thank you all for your time. I'm going to let Romero have a couple of minutes here at the close to round things out.
Yeah, as you heard from the different directors, we have so many different challenges, and as I like to see as opportunities in the future. One of the biggest challenges is the jail population, and that is some of the biggest challenges that we need to address, not just as a community, but also as a county government, and may not necessarily include, expanding the jail. It's about looking at the systems, and I know all the law and justice partners are committed to find solutions as a holistic solutions related to the jail population. Another challenge is the habitat conservation plan, and that is related to the Mazama pocket gopher as a listed endangered species. That is one of the objectives that we need to get to the point to provide the citizens a predictable path as to how they want to develop their properties. And along the way, we're looking to replace the courthouse. That is an old building. Every citizen who has visited the courthouse can relate how the state of those facilities are. That creates another challenge in front of us. But at the end of the day, is the population is growing in Thurston County, and how we're going to be striking the balance in providing good quality jobs, as well as protecting this beautiful county and the environment that we live in. But I believe, and I'm so excited, this team, because at the end of everything that we do, in order to solve larger problems requires a village. And all of you is the village. And all of you will find solutions as to how we can provide the best services to our citizens. So I'd really like to thank you all today. This is fantastic, and I hope the citizens will enjoy this interview with you.
Thank you. It's certainly been my pleasure to share this hour with you. I've learned a lot about all of your departments and have had an opportunity to work closely with many of you on different projects over the years. So thank you for your decision to make public service your career and to help serve the citizens of Greater Thurston County. We really appreciate it. And we want to thank all of you for joining us today. Today we've heard from leaders in the various departments of our county. And I hope you've enjoyed and learned a lot about how Thurston County works and our Thurston County government. I know I did. To watch more special programming like this, tune in to Comcast Cable Channel 3 for programming from all of our government agencies, or go to tcmedia.org. You can watch the Thurston County programming like this also on the county's YouTube channel at the URL listed below. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.